Current party Agdath Mindvigor, Frost Goliath. Druid 5, Fighter 1, Gears, Remus, Kelmore Gnome. Cleric 6, Paraxis, Dragonborn Archmage 5. Kuith, Kuvanar Paladin 4, Warlock 1. Silo, Human Wizard 6. Session recap: smoke over the Carrion Swamp. The expedition pushed deeper into the Carrion Swamp, where the trees rose like black pillars from the water, and the air hung heavy with mist, rot, and buzzing insects. That evening, after dinner, something went wrong. The food had been poisoned. No one knew who had done it. The camp quickly filled with suspicion. Pyraxis searched the tents and found a small vial of green liquid buried beneath one of the servants' pillows. It looked like evidence, but it felt too easy, too convenient. Several eyes turned toward Frank, the limping assistant, but there was no proof yet. So the party rested uneasily. Watches were set. Weapons stayed close. The swamp whispered through the night, but no attack came. In the morning, Gears made sure the food and water were safe. Everyone took only their own portion. No shared pot. No easy target for another poisoner. Then the party moved on. As the day passed, the smell of smoke reached them. Not a forest fire. Not lightning-struck trees. This was campfire smoke. The owl was sent ahead. Through its eyes, the party saw a muddy clearing where lizard-like creatures moved among burning bodies. They had killed travelers, looted the dead, and were destroying what remained. The party did not wait. Silo opened the battle with fire. A burst of flame tore through the camp, swallowing several of the creatures in a roar of heat and smoke. Before the survivors could recover, Gears answered with divine magic, burning through the rest of their line. Agdath and Kuith charged into the clearing to finish what the fire had started. Agdath hit like a falling boulder, while Kuith brought blade, faith, and eldritch power into the fight. Pyraxis watched the battlefield carefully, ready to punish anything that tried to escape or counterattack. The lizard creatures hissed and shouted in Draconic, but the fight turned against them fast. Then the strangest thing happened. Several of the surviving lizard creatures twisted and changed shape, their bodies stretching and dropping into the mud as they transformed into crocodiles. With a splash of tails and claws, they fled into the swamp river and vanished beneath the dark water. When the battle ended, the party searched the camp. They found stolen coin, looted goods, and ancient Hetepkan artifacts. Abraham Stewart's excitement turned to sorrow when he saw them. The artifacts proved the ruin was real, but they also proved something worse. The ziggurat was already being robbed. The expedition continued, but the mood had changed. This was no longer just a search for lost history. Someone else was already ahead of them. The next day, lightning struck from the swamp. Thunder lizard creatures surged from the mire, crackling with blue-white energy. Lightning arced across the water and split the air. The fight was sudden, brutal, and chaotic. Magic flashed, weapons struck, mud exploded under blasts of power. But one bolt struck Professor Abraham Stewart. The scholar fell. The party defeated the creatures, but the victory felt hollow. Abraham Stewart, the man who had spent his life chasing proof of the Hetepkan civilization, died before ever seeing the ruin. The party buried him in the swamp. There was no grand monument, only wet earth, black water, and silence. But the mission did not end. Gears still had his divine trail. Agdath still had signs pointing towards something tied to his own lost relic. The others had enough anger, duty, and curiosity to keep moving. So they pressed on. Later, they reached a wide clearing filled with tall white flowers. Bright petals swayed above long stems, and beyond them rose a steep hill covered in strange trees and red, orange, and blue blossoms. It looked beautiful. Silo recognized the danger. The flowers were white thistle patches, sharp enough to shred anyone foolish enough to walk through them. The party decided not to turn themselves into ribbons and wisely moved around the clearing. Hours later, smoke rose again in the distance. The owl scouted ahead. This time, it saw 4 heavily armed warriors moving through the swamp, trying to outflank the party. And with them was Frank. The betrayal was finally clear. Frank had poisoned the food. Frank had planted evidence. Frank had sabotaged the expedition. Frank had been leading enemies to them. The fight erupted in the swamp. The ambushers tried to close from cover, but the party had warning. Spells flashed through the trees, steel rang, mud splashed. Agdath pushed forward with brutal strength. Kuith brought divine and eldritch force to bear. Gears held the line with sacred power. Silo filled the battlefield with arcane punishment. Pyraxis kept his eyes on the enemy's movements, watching for weakness and escape. One enemy fell, but Frank and the others did not fight to the death. Two of the warriors escaped, and Frank fled with them into the swamp. As he ran, his voice carried through the trees. "Reinforcements! They found us! To arms!" The party vanished into the vegetation with magic, hiding among the swamp growth before the enemy could return in force. Now they know the truth. Frank is a traitor. The bandits are nearby. The ziggurat is close, and the enemy knows the party is here. Somewhere ahead, the ancient ruin waits in the mist, and somewhere between the party and the ziggurat, reinforcements are coming.